never thought I'd get to say this, but I'm kind of glad that D's not here this week because Ryan Suzuki is a Carolina Hurricane.
Let's go, baby. You love to see it.
This news dropped literally like 10 minutes before we started recording, and I am absolutely stoked about it. You got a little more buy-in with that. I mean, he's up in Carolina now, and I don't know if anyone watching on YouTube can tell Zach's kind of a Carolina guy, but
Andrew, what gave it away? I mean, what gave that away?
Yeah. So Ryan Suzuki set to make his NHL debut. Super stoked. He is finally going to get some recognition that he's not an AI program, that he's actually a real tangible hockey player. And
I'm with you there, man. I'm glad the week that D is not on the show, we get to just bask in Ryan Suzuki finally getting his NHL debut. Since being drafted in like 2018, he's finally made it. 7 years, he finally made it.
I can hear her yelling from across the border, though. It's okay. She's trying to save us from the Skynet downfall, but we're gonna keep on pressing on because it's another week of taps. We got a ton of action here to cover for you. A lot of chaos, actually.
What a week! What a week since our last show. My goodness.
And, we got some stars to look at to next week. But I'm Andrew. We have Zach Martin is back and filling in amicably for D, who's up in Montreal's away for vacation purposes.
R&R, a much needed R&R for D. Yeah,
we all need a break. It's okay.
Yeah,
and so yeah, we're gonna take it on over. And I mean, when I say we got a lot of chaos ahead, we got a lot of chaos ahead.
Oh my gosh, dude!
I'm starting on fire. Hold on, I gotta pull up the clip. Everyone has probably seen it by now, but we're going to talk about it. We're going to go over this a bit. On Saturday night's action between the Rochester Americans and the Hartford Wolfpack blew up. And I mean, it was caught on all hockey media platforms were going on. I've said this time and time again. There's no one who's ever like, I don't want to see a goalie fight. So we're going to run the clip here on YouTube again. You're going to see Felix Sandstrom and Dylan Garand.
Down the ice. He gives a shove to Felix Sandstrom.
Top of that fight. Look at that.
Go.
I know.
They're going to go. Dylan Garand, Felix Sandstrom at a tilt.
Everyone wants to see it. Everyone's fired up.
Dude, he's trying too. Like he's trying to get to him, but like the referee is like, nope, not having it. It's like, come on, man.
With Alex Belzile.
There's 5 other fights. This is like a legitimate line brawl. This is not like
it's Slagger just gets absolutely one punch and it's like, nope, I'm done. And yeah, it is just
kick the water bottle.
Keeps on going. Keeps on going.
Serious with this?
Kicks a water. Don't touch my water bottle.
Poor linesman. They're trying their best.
Dude, kicks a water ball. That starts a whole nother fight. Dude, this is just before audio listeners, man. Yeah, we got like a full on line brawl. It's bonkers, dude.
As Joshua and Robertson are still firing away.
And
just inside
okay, here's 16 again. Like he lets these guys go, but he won't let the goalies go. What gives, man? I'm so
it doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you not let the goalies go? It also reminds me of when
no one ever says I don't want to see goalies fight.
You know what the ultimate robbery is? Bennington against Fleury last season. That tilt should have went down and the ref stopped. How do you stop Marc-Andre Fleury and Jordan Bennington from finally going? Because Bennington wants to fight every backup goalie, and they don't let it happen. But how do you not let this fight go? They're ready. They're ready to scrap, and here comes the ref. Wait, no, stop! Don't do it. It's like, dude, what are we doing here, man? Let them go. We want goalie scraps.
It's the fact that the mere fact that 2 goalies wanted to get
they were ready to go. They were
already blown it up. So if they would have started to trade knuckles there, it would have
the roof would have gone off the place.
Exactly. So
dude, it's nuts.
I don't know why the officials don't want to have fun here, but you know,
We're not allowed to have nice things, Andrew. I guess it's just what it is. Welcome to the American word. Fun? What's fun?
There was almost
fun.
There was almost a second, not scrap, but almost scrap in the Grand Rapids Rockford game on Wednesday night that I was covering, where there was a melee behind the net. Drew Comesso, Rockford gets into it. And he's grabbing a guy and he's getting his blocker involved and all that, as goalies should,
of course.
Until 6'6" Sebastian Costa comes from down the ice and asks him, like, "You want to go?" And Drew Comesso was really quick to be like, "No."
Drew Comesso knows. He knows better than it's like, hey, you want to fight a 6'6" goalie who has no issues dropping him with you? You're like, yeah, maybe I don't want to fight the tallest goalie in America.
Yeah, Comesso, I think he made the right call there. Like, maybe not for entertainment purposes, because I would have loved it.
Could you imagine Sebastian Costa just absolutely dropping nuts and the guys in Detroit are like, maybe we should just get this guy now. Like, he's ready.
He's ready. I need a few more games with Big Sea Bass before he's ready.
It's like, no, it's like, we love him here, we don't want him to go, but that's bonkers, dude. It's like, yeah, you know what? This is when he knew he didn't want that smoke.
Speaking of Detroit, there's a huge call up on Monday that I kind of want to talk about here. I mean, if anyone who's anyone within Grand Rapids knows who Dominik Shine is, this guy has been the last 8 seasons just giving his absolute heart and soul in Grand Rapids. And and when you talk about an incredible story with this guy, grew up in Detroit. He played 4 years in the USHL, went to Northern Michigan, played another 4 years there, and then has spent 8 seasons in Grand Rapids. He, was completely undrafted and just put his head down and went to work for nearly a decade. And on Monday, he gets the contract finally from Detroit for the rest of this season and next year. And, oh, by the way, you're going to have to come down I-96 because you're playing tonight. And, it's just seeing so much buzz for a guy who, has kind of been, a little more under the radar when everyone's paying attention to the Griffins, because it's, all the names that have come through with, Jonathan Berggren and Simon Edvinsson, all these, young prospects, Marco Kasper.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I have been this anticipated for someone's debut as I was for Shiner's, honestly.
Right, exactly, dude. It's like, what?
There was a different feel to it. And obviously, he didn't get a whole bunch of playing time, but he had a couple of big hits, especially one against Turcotte. And
hey, way to make your presence felt on that one.
Right, you're not gonna, and he's making the most of his opportunities. You were just waiting for the puck to get on the stick at the right time, and just the roof would have blown off.
100%. It's like, please let it happen.
Exactly. So, he's taken. It's not just like a cup of coffee. He's taken the road trip with the team, kind of seeing where it goes from there. And I mean, the most remarkable part of the story, I think, is he was answering questions in the media afterwards and revealed that after last season, he had the birth of his child, and said, like, he was very close to calling it quits in the American League, because it's tough to spend time with your family and all that. And is just entering a different stage of his life. Decides to stick with it, and now he's got a contract with the winged wheel on it and his name. It's so awesome seeing a guy who's just the absolute consummate teammate, who does, I mean, every and anything that's asked of him. He does it with no question, and sets the tone for that team.
Oh yeah.
My favorite quote from any post game ever was from former head coach of the Griffins, Ben Simon, who said he would crawl into a foxhole with Dominik Shine any day of the week. And if that doesn't speak about the kind of character this guy is, I really don't know how to explain it.
Right, exactly. And you said about earlier too, but you got a guy who's from actual Detroit, so grew up probably grew up a Detroit fan, obviously. Does everything he can. He plays for the AHL team for, like you said, almost a decade. Now he gets to play for his hometown team. Oh yeah, here's not a 1 year, but a 2 year contract. I mean, if you're not any local Detroit kid who loves the Wings, like you have to be stoked for this guy. The fact that you got a hometown guy now playing for the team that everyone dreams of playing for. So yeah, big stick taps to him. You love to see a call up debut, new contract ends with the hometown team.
Mm-hmm.
What's better than that?
Just one last wrinkle on it all. His parents couldn't even be there because they were in Hawaii on vacation. So.
Of course, it's like, yeah, sorry, last second. Yeah, I mean that.
What timing? So
right, exactly. It's like, oh, dang it.
It's tough not to be there to support your child, but I guess if you're gonna be anywhere on the beach in Maui is probably not a bad secondary place.
No, it's not. I would say hopefully they're on the Big Island, because that's even, if you're talking about a great spot that's very underrated, the Big Island in Hawaii, dude. Mint.
Oh yeah,
it's what's up. Let's
talk about some more call ups here. I mean, we've already talked about the Zook. We got Shiner in there. I want to call back to last week because we.
Oh wait, Andrew, it's like I think we're calling back to last week. Is that what you're saying? Are we calling?
That's right.
Calling back to last week.
Yeah, let's dial it back to Andrew, Zach, and D from 7 days ago, when we were all like, Aatu Raty's had a great season in Abbotsford. He's really starting to come to his own. Wow, I wonder how much longer it's going to take for Vancouver to call this kid up. Not very much longer, because
not even a full week. Not even a full week.
Not even, because Raty got the call to Vancouver. He's going to be suiting up for the big Canucks now, and I hope he sticks. I really hope he sticks, because we had mentioned before how on fire he was, how much more polished his game has looked since the original Bo Horvat trade, and so much has been expected of him.
Yeah,
and I hope he can start to blossom with maybe some of those expectations tempered a little bit. Maybe everyone's so worried about the locker room drama, they're not even going to worry about the expectations that were put on this kid, and he can just go out and play his game.
Yeah, after what Rutherford just did, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago, where he just goes and just absolutely just
shut up, man.
Dude,
really needs to shut up.
Oh, like talk about okay, we're calming it down, and then he just throws like kerosene on, not even gas, just full kerosene.
And there's no reason for it,
dude. That was just now. The thing is, real quick on that. Now you're talking about what team is going to take either one of these guys if they're a locker room problem, if they even are. So now you.
I would. I'll take Elias Pettersson.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying though, but like a lot of teams are going to be like kind of like, so are they a problem, or are you just making it seem like they're a problem? So. I don't know. That's wild. But hey, you know what? Just for Raty, that's just amazing. Like you said, hopefully he sticks, because the dude deserves it. He has, taken a little bit to come into his own, but he's really proven himself. So, like you said, as long as he stays under the radar and just does his thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy's here," then that's all that matters. So,
yeah, I'm hoping for big things for him, and I think if he kind of can avoid the Vancouver media, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I think Vancouver media is a little bit too worried right now about those two guys, and they're having to try to ask,
they're gonna
the head coach, and it's like, hey, so what's going on? It's like,
let's look back at some other games that happened this week, because Wednesday, I mean, again, you want to talk about chaos. Wednesday night is probably one of the single most kind of chaotic nights in the American Hockey League this year. Which
get a goal, you get a goal, you get a goal, you get a goal. And dude, it's like it was a scoring parade for everybody. Like it was an absolute. If you love goal scoring, here you go. This was full gong show type scoring, not just a barn burner gong show.
I would have expected a lot of fun on like a Saturday, like
on a random Wednesday in January. Why not?
So
a random January Wednesday night, everyone's scoring goals.
We had 2 9 spots dropped. One on, I would say, a not quite so surprising name, and another one that was like, holy Hannah, what happened here? So You had Lehigh Valley drop 9 goals on Bridgeport, a team that, for all intents and purposes, is just not a functional AHL club. I don't know how many more times I can rag on them.
Honestly, Andrew, it's not even demoting them to the ECHL. It's more like the USHL at this point. Because what are we doing here?
They need to come down to Wednesday night Fraser at 11:30 with a 6-pack at this rate. Because what is going on?
I cannot imagine what the goalie stats are for that. If you're getting dropped a 9 spot in the season you're having,
they have 2 goalies on the roster. And both of their goals against average are over 5.
It really speaks to how bad Bridgeport is that even Casimir Kaskisuo, who's been looking for an AHL contract, would be like, you know what? I'd rather go play with the Norfolk Admiral in the ECHL more than I would play for Bridgeport. That is insane how bad that is. We have 2 goalies above 5, and it's like, yeah, maybe I'm just going to stick here in the ECHL in case someone else needs me. I don't want to go to Bridgeport.
It's tough sledding for the Islanders right now. Again, we went in last week, so I'm gonna give you a break for now.
For now, we'll come back next week if this is still going on. We might have
you have good company that I'd like to talk about as well, because the Hershey Bears gave up 9 goals too.
That one was the most surprising one, for the fact that you're talking back-to-back Calder champs. They are still leading the Atlantic by 6 points, still a decent margin, but you get dropped on 9 spot and you get shut out on. So you drop 9 and you still get shut out. Was it in Hershey or was it in Wilkes-Barre? It
was in Wilkes-Barre.
Could you imagine 9-0 in Hershey in front of those fans?
They would have started littering the ice with chocolate, I think.
I can see that
thrown onto the ice.
I mean, honestly, what's better though? Hats for a hat trick or Hershey chocolate for a hat trick? I mean,
well, there were 2 hat tricks that were scored on Hershey that actually.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
Billy Koivunen dropped a 4 spot by himself, and then Vasily Ponomarev decided to get in on the action. By that time,
former Chicago Wolf.
Two former Wolves.
Yeah, 2 former Wolves are like, you know what? Let's just get a double hattie, and one of us gets 4 on the.
Yeah, I don't think anyone with in Wilkes-Barre walked out with a hat after that one, but.
Yeah, sure. That's just brutal, dude. A 9 spot on the back-to-back champs. Oh. Oof.
Super uncharacteristic of the Bears. I mean, sure, you're not going to have your night every night, even for a team like Hershey that's been dominating the league for.
But that bad though. Like I would expect maybe like 4-2, 5,
even like 4-0. Like, oh, okay, I get it. 9.
Yeah, 4-0. You're kind of like, okay, maybe it's 3-0 and there's an empty netter somewhere or some nonsense like that. But a 9 spot, woof.
It's a lot of, defensive.
Stop! He's already dead.
Right. Breakaways. I think Koivunen had at least 2 breakaway goals just by himself. Yeah.
Wolf does.
It's tough. It was tough. Clay Stevenson got pulled and then put back in. And
it's not your night when you get yanked and then re-slotted back into the goal.
Go warm it back up, bud, because you're heading back in. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. So real quick, Andrew, Ryan Suzuki, number 16 tonight on the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you go.
Hey, that's my number. So hopefully that's good luck for him.
And he went no Bucky too. He let the hair flow of what hair he has. But
that's exactly what I would want for him as well.
Of course, yeah. I had to let you know though, because I know you're all about. We're both here for Zoom.
Chicago, right? Is it in Chicago?
No, it's in Carolina. So
he had to fly out after yesterday's game. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, Aho and Taylor Hall both out due to sickness. So
everyone's getting sick. It's
the flu, dude. It's the flu, man. The flu is getting everyone.
God, I don't like it, but
yeah.
We had across 11 games on Wednesday night, we had 81 goals. That's over 7 per game.
I want to know. I wish we kind of looked this up sooner. I want to know what the record is for the most goals in one day in the American. I just wanted, you have to think, do you think at some point, do we see a hundo? Have we ever seen 100 goals in a day? You would have to think if everyone plays at the same
got
time,
to, right? Because I don't think that number broke any records, or someone would have
said
been like,
something.
hey, like
I'm really curious.
Gary would have said something if that broke a record, right? Like
I want to know what that record is for the most goals in a day, but I guess I'd have to figure out what the threshold is to count that as a record. Like, how many games would it take for it to like matter?
Right. It wasn't a full 11 games, so only 22 of the 32 teams were in action. So I feel like
81 though, still a decent enough.
Like a couple 9 spots help, but then there's Chicago winning a game 2-1. So
I guess Chicago didn't get the memo on that one. They're like, well, everyone else is scoring. It's all right.
You know who's not giving up a lot of goals lately is Michael DiPietro.
Dude, Michael DiPietro, my absolute goodness, this dude. If you want to talk about a good story for the fact that he did get called up, didn't really do much with Boston, but he comes back to Providence, and the fact that he has in 24 games, and get this, Andrew, over 1,445 minutes of hockey. How about this for a record for you? He's 15-5, only giving up 46 goals, a 1.91 goals against, and a 932 save percentage. I mean, have a season of Michael DiPietro, and that's with a call-up and a recall back to the American, and just absolutely showing out for the Providence Bruins. Like, and the crazy part is like, because what have we heard the last 2 years? Brandon Bussey. It's about Brandon Bussey. He's the heir apparent and all that stuff. I feel kind of bad for the guy. 18 games, he's 8-8 with a 3 goals against and an 897 save percentage.
It just kind of shows you how just volatile that
one season, man. Yeah,
that's right. Because you're right. You were right. Bussey was the guy in Providence, and they were looking at him in Boston like, okay, we give this kid a couple of years. Especially considering, they had to get rid of Linus Ullmark and all that. It was like, oh, no problem.
And they got Corpusalo and all that there. Yeah, it's.
But and that's just the funny way that this works. Not to say that it's Bussey's out of runway or anything. He's still
it's just I mean he's still young. He's still good. I mean Providence is 23-13-4-1. They're only 6 points back of Hershey. I think the last time I checked, they have 2 games in hand and they're only 6 back. So it's not like Providence is playing very bad. I mean, even with a 3 average and a save a tad under 9, that's still not terrible. And it's good. You have Michael DiPietro, who's been the rock for this team right now in goal. I mean, they're like I said, when you're with 2 games in hand, you're only 6 back of the Bears. That's not bad. You're in a good spot. I mean, you're in a fight with Charlotte and Wilkes-Barre for the top, with between 2, 3, and 4. It's only a point. So,
and yeah, I love seeing kind of the comeback stories, because I think DiPietro was kind of written off in the Vancouver organization. They had Thatcher Demko and Seelov. So
and now they got Lankin in now. Yeah, it's like
they had they had high hopes for this kid, and unfortunately it didn't work out over there. So now I think he's in his 3rd season in the Bruins organization, and it's like finally you kind of start to see why he was as highly regarded as he was earlier in his career. So
yeah,
goalies are weird, man. Goalies will
to say the least. To say the least, yeah.
It's never quite linear, but that's okay. You can be up and down as long as you kind of keep steadily progressing forward.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And like I said, we're not saying that Bussey's going to be written off, but yeah, it's just one of those things where everyone has a down season every once in a while. So, but I mean, overall, it's he can still turn around. There's still a lot of season to go. I'm not really worried about Bussey, but at least for Providence, at least you got DiPietro, holding it down for you right now. Like I said, you're within a good spot within the division, so you're not that far back of Hershey. Like I said, with games in hand.
Mm-hmm.
So, and after having a crazy weekend last week, hey, you came out of it on the good side of it, at least if you're the Providence Bruins.
we got one last little bit of chaos here, and this is maybe my favorite play of easily my favorite play of the week. Might be my favorite play so far this year.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna so after my beat duties with Grand Rapids and Chicago, I decide like every now and then I decide to just stay up late and see what's going on in the West Coast. I feel like it just vibes a little differently in the Pacific.
Dude, the West Coast is the wacky West Coast is what we need to start calling that division because it is just it's nuts out there. It's nuts.
So for those of you who are joining us in on YouTube, you're gonna want to enjoy this. This is my AHL After Dark share. Ontario and Colorado. Now it doesn't show. Ontario's on the power play, down 3-1 with a minute left in the second period, and there's a guy wide open in the slot. Watch what happens.
Walk to the middle, open was gone, but he couldn't handle the pass. And the Rain making a change here. The puck was loose, and Prishipov's got a breakaway, and he scores.
Oh, like
that's
time change.
How
fuel.
How my thing is like
crowd's in complete disbelief. Okay, I
the fact that like the dude
literally terribly timed line change, right? Okay, but hang on. Let me rewind it back so you guys can kind of see. Sorry, that's the audio there. Okay, so the pass is missed. Okay, the pass is missed. It happens. You know, there's some pressure there. Riley Walsh is coming back to the puck. Okay, he is the last guy back, and maybe he thought that puck was going to go all the way. Look, there's no way it's going to make it to your own zone.
Yeah, no, it's not even into your zone yet. He's like, all right, I'm going to go change. You're like, what? There's like two Eagles right behind him, and you see the guy try to get off of the bench for the Rain. He's like, oh crap, because he sees the two Eagles.
Two guys on one, and I'm just going to go to the bench. So the poor defenseman from the Rain has to get up and just start running for his life with pressure from TJ Tynan, and unfortunately, he can't even get a good handle on the puck. And the rest of the story is history. But like,
but look at this frame though. If you're on YouTube, look at this still frame. It is one Rain and one Eagle on the boards, and this dude all alone in the face-off dot. You're like, if you're the goaltender, you're like, oh, this is not good.
What's going through your mind if you're Eric Portillo right there?
I bet you're wondering how I got here. That's basically what this is. Like, that is. This is a beer league change in the middle of an American game. You're like, what are we doing here?
It's not a beer league change, though. I can say that it's not a beer league change because I feel like if I'm the last guy back and I'm at least getting the puck or I'm trying to
you don't make a line change like that's
I'm at the end of a 3-minute shift and I'm trying to get to the puck, but I just
Andrew, that's a Brad Marchand in the Stanley Cup final change. You're like, okay, I'm just gonna go change. You're like,
no, because Brad Marchand had a guy behind him. Riley Walsh had no one else other than the goalie.
Oh, that's so bad though.
That's what makes it, because like I wanted to harken it back to, I think the most famous example of a play like this in the National League is when Sergei Kostitsyn on Nashville.
Oh gosh, yes.
He loses a board battle, and instead of continuing to back check, decides to just get off.
He's like, you know what? I'm done.
It's hilarious because like you see the coaching staff in Nashville just freaking out as Edmonton goes in for a shorthanded 2-on-1. But I wish the video quality was better and we could have seen what the reaction was on the Ontario bench. But
you have to imagine the dude's losing his mind.
Kostitsyn heads to the bench with Roman Josi is still out on the ice. Granted, he's not in a great position because he's defending a 2-on-1 now without any back pressure coming from the neutral zone. But at least there's a guy there who can try to help the goalie out. You basically just told your goalie, you got this. But it's just you handcuff the guy coming off on the ice, and there's no room to make a play.
You see his legs. You see his legs going.
Free and open breakaway on a shorthanded rush like that. And you go from pulling within a goal heading into the third period to now you're down 4-1. And the game's not over, but it's kind of over at that point.
That poor defender, like you said, you see his legs. He's trying to go, but he's not going anywhere. Yeah, the thing is, Andrew, their fourth goal came on their 19th shot of the game. Like, buddy.
It's tough. I feel bad for the defenseman who had to get a -1 in that, for not really his fault.
No, it's not his fault, because like, what are you supposed to do there when it's like, here, let me go on the ice real quick, and then try to board battle a guy and lose miserably. And then it's like, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, I don't think he was ready for that when he came out on the ice. But
no, honestly, if I was the American League officials, I'd be like, you know what, that guy is fine. He doesn't get the minus. The guy who came off the ice gets the minus. Give it to that guy. Give him a -2 just for that line.
I wish there was clear justice like that, but
that would be fantastic. It's like, yeah, you know what, your sacrilege is gonna be reprimanded here, sir. We don't do that here.
So that was the week ago, and if that's any indication, the week ahead is probably going to be pretty wild. But
yeah,
let's take a look and preview some key matchups that are going up ahead. Zach, I know you got one that you're dialed in on.
Oh, dude, I am telling you what, this is good. Actually, I'm really excited for this one. So we do have the Providence Bruins, and they are going to be in Cleveland for this one. It's a nice little Friday-Saturday matchup. And so far this season, they've already met twice. And here's the crazy part, Andrew. This was on November 15th and 17th, both in Providence. You want to guess what the score was for both of those games?
9-0.
No, it's not that bad. Thankfully, the Providence Bruins aren't that bad. Both games were 4-3 in favor of Cleveland. The exact same score 2 nights apart. That's just absolutely insane. But you think back, so last season, Providence was 3-1 against the Monsters, and Cleveland was 1-1-1-1. like how do you do that so perfectly that you got to win, you lost, and you got the overtime, and then it's just, that's nuts how that kind of worked out. But then you look at the last 5 seasons between these two teams. Providence is 3-1-2, with the Monsters being 3-1-1-1, of course. But the good thing for Providence, at least, they've won 4 of their last 5. Now they dropped this last one to Laval, but that's the 3rd game in a row that they played. So they played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 3 different opponents. So you're home, you win in a shutout. Or no, sorry, yeah, you shut out Rochester 3-0. Then you go the next day to Springfield, win in a shootout 4-3. Then you come back and lose in overtime to Laval. So at least you got points in all 3 games coming into this. So yes, your 4-game winning streak was snapped, but you're still on a 5-game point heater. So you'll take that, honestly, if all things considered. So not bad. And then Cleveland, kind of a mixed bag. They've won 2, lost 3, and of course that's they beat Grand Rapids, then lost to Grand Rapids in back-to-backs. They kind of that little split. I know you were definitely covering that for sure. And then lost to Chicago. Then they split against Chicago in back-to-backs. They lose 6-5, but then win 3-1, and they just lost to Syracuse, on the 25th. So it's definitely interesting when you come into this game where it's like you see Providence on a 5-point streak. Cleveland's kind of middling around a little bit when it just comes to looking at that. But I would say the guys you really need to keep an eye on for sure, of course, is Georgi Merkulov. How about 38 points with 27 as being assists? Not bad at all. Patrick Brown, 26 points. Fabian Lysell with 25. And, I mean, you look at Cleveland, try to fix Rolanski. Tell me if you've heard this before. 36 points leading the team right now with 15 goals. And a familiar face to us, Andrew, Rocker Grimaldi, second on the Monsters right now with 35 points. And then just look at the standings real quick. The Monsters only 3 points back of Laval, and they have played one more game, but they're still within the shot of Laval for first in the North. And, of course, Providence, we already talked about it, 6 points back, 2 games in hand. So I definitely think this is going to be a very huge matchup because you still have, one team's in second, one team's in third, and they're still relatively close within their division lead overall. So, I mean, if you want to look at a good back-to-back where you're going to have to see, which game you're going to get Bussy and then which game you're going to get DiPietro, this is going to be very interesting. I think this is the weekend where Cleveland's doing their throwback to the Cleveland Lumberjack jerseys, I believe. So good to have some really good jersey matchup in this one. So I think this is good. This is a nice little fun interdivisional within the East, where they got that classic Atlantic versus North type matchup with two really good teams who are kind of on different paths. Coming up into this game this weekend. But Andrew, I know you got your finger on a pulse of a really good one coming up too.
Oh yeah, I've had my eye on this one for a while. I remember last year,
just a little bit.
Well, last year I was out in Colorado to cover this series,
right?
And getting the Eagles to come back into Grand Rapids this year, and it's fun. I detest seeing Rockford and Milwaukee 36 times on the schedule. I like the variety. I like a little bit of life in there, and I think it's a good measuring stick because, I do think teams vibrate a little differently out west. And Friday and Saturday, the Colorado Eagles are coming in the Van Andel Arena, and for this Griffins team that sits up at the top of the Central, I not that they were getting complacent in the last couple of weeks, but I just feel like they haven't been their usual selves. Now, Carter Mazer finally came back this last weekend and is starting to get the wheels back under him after, he's been out since mid-October. Amadeus Lombardi has still been out, but I feel like in this Griffins team, you're starting to see a lot of other guys starting to take advantage of those opportunities, like Alex Doucette, who's got 5 points in his last 5 games. Now he's been moved up to top line role, but you're seeing Shiner got called up, Soderblom got called up, and this team still finds ways to win. And I alluded to him before. I'm going to say it again. It's because of the big man in net, Sebastian Cossa.
Of course.
He's a bona fide number one stud in this league now, and I'm not afraid to say it. I was afraid of it.
I know. I'm totally
before, but now he is the guy. And
you know what, Andrew? I don't know if they do meet this year. I haven't really looked at the full schedule, but how great would it be to have a Cossa DiPietro matchup? That would be electric. To have those two studs against each other in a huge tilt. Oh,
gotta make it to the Calder Cup Finals. That's the only way it's gonna happen.
Hey, you and me covering the Calder Cup Final? Why not, right? That would be nuts.
That would be nice. I am a little partial to Cleveland because they're closer, but you know what? I'll take Grand Rapids in there anyway.
Yeah, that's what I said. It doesn't matter.
At any rate, the Eagles are they're right up there at the top of the weirdly vibing Pacific.
The Eagles. They know how to get a good team going, even with all their call-ups and all the injuries they have in Colorado, and with the big club. They're still finding ways to get it done.
Yeah, they've always managed to, with all the chaos that's been going up and the Avalanche, they've been just kind of plugging away. And TJ Tynan has been doing his thing, just kind of and as the consummate playmaker that he's always been. And there's a lot of other good vets in that squad that I really like. Jason Megna, Matthew Phillips. Yeah. I've been a big fan of Ty Fellober since he broke in in Texas and in Milwaukee as well. And so it's not going to be easy for these Griffins at any rate. And it never is. And I think now that they're built for these kind of games, and it's going to be rock 'em, sock 'em, slug 'em, and that's perfectly fine because
that's some old school hockey right there.
The Griffins are the guy leading the way that they've really been leaning on lately is Austin Watson, and I don't think there's anyone in this league who can bully Austin Watson. And I've seen him just kind of ragdoll guys of any weight class all over the ice, and he's the guy, and he keeps this team accountable. If they're not playing well, he's not afraid to call them out. I've seen it firsthand in the locker room. So I think they're ready for the challenge of the Eagles coming into town, and it's gonna be a barn burner. I'm ready for it.
Oh yeah, no, like you said, this is one like we love just the fact that you get the conference matchup, the division matchups and stuff like that. In this case, where it's like you want to see what your measuring stick is. I mean, your division, yeah, it is what it is. But when you get that other division in your conference coming to town, or you go to their barn, and it's like, okay, that's when, especially where they're at in their own division, how they've been playing. This is like one of those. Okay, while the tiers of like where points matter usually is like division, conference, league, how I usually put it. Yes, this is like that second tier of points where it's like it affects your conference and not so much your division, but this is like one of those tilts where you're kind of measuring where your team's at. Like if you can take care of the Eagles, feeling pretty good about yourself when you get to the Calder Cup playoffs here in the next few months. So definitely going to be huge. That, like I said, that's the same thing for Providence. Cleveland's a good team. You got 2 against 3 in their own divisions. How are you stacking up against those guys who always find a way to make the playoffs too? So we got some big tilts this weekend, Andrew.
And Cleveland was just a goal away from the Calder Cup Finals last year.
That's what I'm saying. Like that, and they didn't really lose a whole lot either. Yeah, they had some guys who graduated to the national, but I mean, that's still a really solid team. Like I said, you got Fix Orlansky leading the team right now. Rocker Grimaldi's up there. And we're not even talking about the fact that you have some other guys that just went to Columbus this year and are killing it for the Jackets too. So yeah, we have some what a way to go into the last weekend right before the All-Star Classic with some huge matchups. Like whoever thought of the schedule did a good job.
Wonderful segue, because we do have the All-Star Classic coming up next week, and I'm super bummed that I can't go because I have been craving golf lately because it's 10 degrees outside and snowy, and I'm like, I just want to swing the stick, and nowhere better in the world than in Palm Springs.
Oh, as someone who was there last October, yeah, it is really nice. And when we were on vacation out there, we were like 2 miles from the arena where the Firebirds played. It's like, yeah, I'm like, of course you're not playing when we're there, but no, it's what a place to be at for an All-Star Classic. Like, hey, go to California and hang out in Palm Springs for a few days, and just why not? And go play golf on your downtime.
But we got some shift in the rosters here because, some guys are injured, some guys are in the National League. So we've had Rochester forward Brett Murray has been added to the North Division roster. The Ice Hogs defenseman Kevin Korchinski, Milwaukee forward Joachim Kemmel, and Iowa forward Brendan Gauntz have been added to the Central roster, while Grigory Denisenko of Henderson has been added to the Pacific Division roster. Unfortunately, they're going to be replacing Luca Del Bel Beluz, Liam Ogren, Leon Bixel, Vinny Hinostroza, and Tanner Lazinski. But, I feel like there's always that backup roster because of the nature of this league. And depending on how tonight goes, they might end up having to replace Ryan Suzuki as well. So,
yeah, because I know on that front, it's because with Sebastian Aho and Taylor Hall both got the flu. So that's going to be how long that's going to be. But if it's just for a couple days, he might get back in time for that. Still not a bad option either. But maybe. I mean, but you got Scott Morrow though for the Wolves.
Very, very happy about that. And I had a great conversation with the Wolves assistant coach, and I'm gonna be talking a little bit about Morrow later on, not in the podcast, but
yeah,
you guys can catch that piece later this weekend on the Calder Times. But I kind of want to take a look at these teams, just kind of how they're built right now, how they're stacked up. I mean, I know you're pretty familiar with some of these guys in the Atlantic. There's your boy Michael DiPietro.
I mean, duh. I mean, this guy. How can you not pick him to be on this roster? Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Exactly, but we, there's a lot of great names on all sides, and I kind of want to know like where you're feeling the strengths are and who like as you're watching this event next week, what's your eye going to be on?
I don't know, man. That Central team looks pretty dang stacked with the fact that you got Kosa, you got, Morrow, and depending on what Suzuki's going to be like you said, you also got Austin Watson. I would definitely keep my eye on that Central, but also if you scroll, I know Askarov, I'm really curious how he's going to be for the Pacific, being kind of in that kind of division. I'm looking at the Atlantic just to see how those guys are going to do with the fact that you got, like you said, you got Michael DiPietro, you got Ethan Bear's going to be there. It's just you got Trevor Carrick for the Charlotte Checkers. Of course, now you don't have Zach Dolpe because he's injured, but there's still some names too. John Leonard's also been killing it for the Checkers as well. So I'm really curious how the Atlantic does. But for me, I think when you're looking at who's probably the most strongest out of those teams, I think the Central is probably one of the strongest ones out of the entire group, just with the who's who of some names. While the North does have some guys like, Fix, Devin Levi, Simon Nemec, Isaac Rosen from Rochester. Of course, he doesn't have his boy Yuri. He's not there anymore right now because he just got called up by Buffalo. But you still got Alex Steves though. Alex Steves is still a dude for the Toronto Marlies. So yeah, there. And of course, if we can't, I would be remiss if we don't have to bring up if we bring up this guy. It's just a sad day for us. Andrew Podolski for the Pacific. I mean, justice for Potts as always, but you love to see it for this guy though. Just be able to be like, yep, why not? Let's do this again. But what about you, Andrew? Where are you kind of looking at in terms of these teams? I know I named a lot of guys, but Harry, what are you feeling?
Well, the Pacific is they're going to have that home ice advantage. I mean, you touched on Potts. He called that barn in Coachella home for the last couple of years, so I know that he's going to show up for the fans out there, even though he's on a division rival. He's still a Pacific All-Star, and I'm real interested to see how he's received by the fans there. I know the fans love him. I mean, especially that goal against Calgary in the playoffs, Game 5 overtime, the Pacific Division Finals a couple years ago is like a definite, defining moment of that franchise so early on in their existence, and I think that's going to stick with a lot of those fans. And again, in these events, the players are so much more connected with the fans in the stands and everything, and I think Potts is going to have a bit of a spotlight there on him for sure.
It's just so weird seeing with San Jose after being with Coachella Valley for so long, and of course now they get the All-Star game, and now he's not for them. But even Coachella, I mean, Cal Fleury, not a bad guy to have to represent your home, the team that's hosting this whole shindig. So
not bad at all. And of course, I love the goaltending. Devin Cooley has
very underrated goaltending.
Calgary was going to have not that they were going to take a step back, but you had Dustin Wolf as goaltender of the year for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe a bit of a step back. No, Calgary's right at the top of the Pacific Division where it feels like they've been for years. And Cooley's been a big part of that. Yeah, Cooley's been a big part of that. Obviously, Rory Cairns has been huge for the Wranglers as well. So
yeah,
I think the Pacific's got a lot of star power there that I think few of these teams in here can really kind of match up with. But I think the North's right there with them. You mentioned Steves and Rosen. It's Trey Fix-Savansky. Every time I see him, just
right. You got Devin Levi in goal. Like how are you not looking at Devin Levi and being like, oh boy,
Brandon Halverson's not nothing to slouch at either.
No, not really. Like I said, but you also got Simon Nemec. Like that is a dude on that blue line for these guys. Mm-hmm. Like it's gonna be very Logan Milieu for Laval Rocket. I mean, like I said, it's just you're talking like guys on these teams. Like there's a lot of dudes pretty much everywhere. Like I said, you got Michael Callahan for Providence, Trevor Carrick, Ethan Bear for the Atlantic. Like there is a lot of guys on all these rosters that like they've got a lot of star power across the board. Despite the fact there's a Bridgeport Islander, so I'm curious to see how Brian Pinto does on a roster that's not whole of his teammates. But everyone's got to be there. But I don't know. Like I said,
don't know why they didn't pick Chris Terry. Nothing against Brian Pino, but
yeah, right. I don't know. Like I said, the
Harry has
Central,
been there for 100 years in this league, and
right?
he's
Yeah.
feel like
No,
that
I feel like
this should
every
be like
team,
a giving his flowers kind of moment, and
right? It's
I feel bad because I feel like I'm dogging on Brian Pino for no reason other than the jersey that he wears, which is just indicative of a bad hockey team. But
yeah. I mean nothing against him, but I mean he's probably feeling like at least I get to see what actual what actual hockey is. But
good,
I don't know, man. Like,
you know what? Good for him. He's gonna
good for
spend
that
a
guy.
couple days in Coachella. He's probably gonna play some golf. He's gonna be in Connecticut and
In the middle of winter, just getting the absolute just dogged every night. But I mean,
right.
honestly though, honestly, Andrew, I don't know any other year where you look at these all-star rosters and you're not telling yourself, man, any one of these teams can absolutely just run the show at the All-Star Classic. There's a lot of names on these lists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's I look at like the Atlantic, Belzile and Carrick have been there 3 times, and there's a
lot of first too. A lot of first.
Every guy in the Central is making, even Curtis McKenzie, who's been there again for a while, is making.
I know it's nuts. Depending on how long Suzuki's up in Carolina, yeah, he can do his first because he's finally healthy. I think the North is the only team that probably has like the most returning guys. Like I see like a lot of 2s and 3s on that list. There's some 1s, but there's a lot of 2. I think that's probably the most veteran-esque, like all-star appearance type of guys. Like Miliu's got 2, Puliu's got 2, or 3, Rosen's on 2, Shaw's on his 3rd, and Steve's on his 2. Yeah, there's not a lot of guys on the Atlantic that have multiple ones. They're like 2 3s, and that's about it. A lot. It's crazy when you look at these rosters. Like how some of these guys, like there's a lot of 1s, but then it's like, oh, here's the North, which with multiple appearances, with what couple 3s? Wow.
I think that it's going to be the Atlantic and the Central, and I think Brian Pinho is going to score the game-winning goal.
Wouldn't that be justice for Pinho? Like, you know what? You're gonna get the game winner. We're gonna be
just to shut me up about dogging on Bridgeport for 20 minutes every week.
Hey, Taps, you're gonna tap into this.
Okay, if Brian Pinho scores the game-winning goal at the All-Star game, we're bringing him on the podcast, and he can tell me to suck it for like 30 minutes, and every time I mention Bridgeport, that's perfectly fine.
That would be absolutely wild if that's just here's your comeuppance, just coming on Taps and being like, "Listen here, Rinaldi.
Right, here's the paddle. Just get it over with."
Oh my gosh, that would be insane. Pure cinema, just numbers.
I kind of hope it happens at this point, but
right, just to give us something. Give us something.
I'm a good sport. I hope he is as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of have to laugh through the pain. So
they got to be laughing quite a lot in Bridgeport. I don't know what else to say.
This is how he becomes Deadpool. This is his origin story. Just going through Bridgeport.
That's tough. That's tough. Anyway, that's what we got for the next week ahead. Lots of stars, lots of star power. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
You know that skills comp is gonna be bonkers, like it always is. It's always honestly. I think the American puts on I think they do a better job with their like skills competitions than any other league, and that's including the national. Even in other sports like NBA, NFL, MLB, I think the AHL does it perfectly when it comes to showcasing their stars and doing it in a way where it's fun because it's old school hockey.
The way that they involve the fans during the competition and even during the game is second to none. I didn't catch a whole lot of it in San Jose last year, but when I was there in Laval, they
Oh,
took during the skills competition, so the fans were more like involved in
plus they're getting autographs and stuff too. Hey, at least you got off the airplane to go to that All-Star Classic.
I almost didn't. I might still be on the plane. Who knows?
This is just an illusion. It's the invasion of the body snatchers. This isn't their land true.
Yeah, I've been in a coma for the last 2.5 years.
One of us.
Yeah,
but that is cool, how the fact they took the glass down and kind of like, fans are able to get autographs during the competition and stuff like that, kind of have a little more of an interact. Like I said, the American does it the right way, man.
I'm gonna maintain this because I love the idea that Max Lajoie gave me, is that I kind of want to see, like, I like the skills competitions and everything, but I want to see him go a little bit off the beaten path and do like athletic achievements off the ice, and like, and he brought up like let's do like a chipping contest as like for the golfers and everything, and I was like, that would be awesome.
Now, who's got the best short game?
I already know that Potts is probably the best golfer in the whole roster. So
100%. It's like, hey,
he had a PGA pro work on his golf game when he was in Chicago. They had a guy set up for him, and I see him playing at like Pebble Beach and Whistling Straits all the time. Places where I shoot probably 145, and he's just like breaking 80 very casually. Like,
I was kind of surprised. I'm waiting for him just to show up on TGL, that new golf like 3-on-3 battle they got going on ESPN now at that simulator thing. I'm ready for him to show, be like, here's your celebrity guest, and it's just Potts. He just absolutely just starts teeing off on it. He starts teeing off on everyone.
I'd be all up there for it. Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie though, that is a pretty fun league that just kind of started up with that simulator golf. Like, you actually can still putt on a big green inside this building. Dude, if no one's seen it yet, it is electric. Like, it's insane. Like, whoever thought of that, genius. Now we need that for bring that to hockey. Let's just have simulator than a small ice to do just random stuff.
My boomer take is that I actually really dislike that.
I know, not for hockey. I'm just
for golf. It's a boomer take, but like, if I'm gonna watch golf, I don't want to watch a simulator. I like
not a TGL guy. You're like, nah, that's for the birds.
Not my bag. It's not my bag. If you're gonna broadcast golf, it should be on a golf course. It should not. That's my thing. It's like watching my coworker watching a guy play video games today. I was like, why don't you just play it yourself? I'm a boomer at heart. That's really what it boils down to.
I mean, we are, early 90s guys talking just
don't say it like that. Now I really feel old.
Andrew, we kind of are. We kind of are.
I don't need to be reminded. That's okay. I'm ending the episode on that. Thank you for showing up for Taps for another week. And if I don't, if I can make it out of the nursing home next week, we'll see you after the All-Star break.